Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to the channel, or welcome back to Clothing Brand Success here. So today's video is going to be all about pretty much why would you start a clothing brand? Why would you want to? Why would you need to? Just why. The whole big question about why would you do it, essentially. And before I get into today's video, I just want to remind you guys that this channel and this video, everything about it, is sponsored by my own clothing company, which is called Reveille Clothing, which is what I'm wearing here. And pretty much if you want to go and visit the website for my clothing company, you can support us as well, and I'll put a link in the description below as well as a discount code as well. So, and we'll get to the video here. So pretty much the whole idea of why is always like one of the biggest questions that I get asked about, about why I started mine, or why would you. And I've kind of, from all the research that I've done before I did mine, and just more of like just the idea of it all, I kind of have narrowed it down into like two different things pretty much overall for the most part. Now the first one that I would think, the first reason for why is that most of the brands that I've ever seen have come up with is because they are looking to do or looking to fix a problem that they have never seen anyone else solve, and that can become anything from like, you know, just like a specific product type that they don't see on the market, and they want to invent that market literally, and then kind of maximize off of it and go from there with it, and then maybe kind of build a broader idea around that too. That's one option. That's usually one of the things, and it doesn't have to be something super specific, but usually is. And the other option, or the other idea typically for why, is for like me, where it's like more of like I'm the creative type personally. So like for me, it's like it's just like I like to draw things. I like to just kind of like jump into my like Adobe software and kind of just like start to mess with graphics and just kind of mess with things like that. So those are kind of the two most common generalized, you know, reasons for why most people do their own clothing companies, and that's kind of like what I wanted to kind of narrow it down to on each side, essentially like that. So the first one, which is the niche one, is what I want to go into first. Now on that one, typically speaking, from all the research that I've done and just the people I've spoken to about it on how that they had success with them, that's kind of what, you know, that's the first big reason. And generally speaking, whenever I speak to those people who own those brands, or they came up with the idea for those brands, it's because generally speaking, they always kind of like saw something that was just never ever made, or never. It could be an idea that was just never on the market, or just a problem that they ran into quite a bit with their own lifestyle, or just simply like just something that they just thought would be cool that they just they've never seen. And typically then they go to the table themselves, they make it, and they kind of fix that problem, generally speaking, or they try to, and then they put it on the market and then see how it works, and then kind of maximize off of that, typically is the idea. And I don't have any examples to give you guys without like mentioning names, that kind of thing, but that's usually the first real specific one for that part, is just kind of like going to just seeing a problem that you don't see a fix for, or see a resolution for, and that you have a passion for, and you have interest in, and then you fix it yourself, and then you sell that fix, is the whole idea behind it. Now the other one, which is more of like my idea or my area of passion for why I did mine, is because of creativity and more of a just kind of like more of like a passion area of like design. Not that the other version isn't creative or passion, but it's a different kind of thing. Like I didn't start my own brand at all from trying to fix a problem. Not really. In the end of the day, I didn't do it for that reason. So my thing was more of like, to put it simply, all the brands that I ever wore for 20 plus years, because I kind of wore the same area of stuff for 20 years. And I'm not going to mention the brands, but I wore the same stuff that I supported for a long time based on my lifestyle. And after a long time, I kind of like ran into the thing where it was like I felt like because I like to do graphic design work myself. I went to school for graphic design. And I've always I love to jump into my Adobe software and just create things and just do graphics. My whole back was always like just not being able to finish it or come up with a brand name and do all that stuff and push it forward. That was like always my hurdle, which I'll go through in another video as well. But for me, it was always about, you know, just having that general passion to like I'll put it this way, like, it was pretty much where the brands that I was wearing at one point in my mid-20s, because I'm in my mid-30s now, to give you an idea, where it was always like, well, you know, I would see what designs they would come up with, and it was always something where I was like, okay, well, I think I could do better than that, or do more with it, or just do a better release than that, and it was kind of like a baffling idea for me, where the brands that I was wearing, they were charging, $25, $30 for a shirt in most cases, and the design itself was pretty much kind of horrendous or not that great to me, in my opinion. Which I obviously I wouldn't buy it, but then I was like, well, if I can make it better myself, then why am I not doing this myself? Why am I not making my own company, making my own clothing, and just doing it myself? And that's kind of what I kind of kept on running into back and forth for years and years and years. But again, at the time when I first had this idea, as in my early 20s, I was like 21, 22, and back then there was not, to my knowledge at least, there was no no drop shipping really, not that I'm aware of now at least, and it was not as easy to do what it is today with an app. I'll put it that way. It just wasn't there yet. So now that I'm in my mid-30s, and after I kind of started to do more research on how easy it's become to do your own brand, that's why I kind of like really pushed to the pursuance of doing it and getting it done with and getting it going. And that's kind of what brought me into where it is now. So for me, that was kind of like where like that, I was part of that second category where it was like, I really want to just put something out there that's different than anything else that I've seen before, and have it be creative and bold and just graphic, and kind of just give myself as a creative person the outlet to put something that I made myself into the world and see people like it and gravitate to it. That was the whole idea. And typically speaking, that is the more harder area of doing a clothing brand from scratch to market it as, especially when you have zero credibility in the market like I do. Like I have no credibility in the market besides just my website, and that's about it, which isn't even credibility. It's just like it's a website. So it's one of those things where it's a hard thing to do, and it's a lot more difficult than someone that is like either an influencer or has another successful brand that they just kind of can launch off of and like pivot to another one. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So that's why it's like, and that's another video by itself too. But that's kind of where I come from, where I pretty much have always been creative. I like to do design work myself, and I like to control everything myself and just do it like that. And it gives me the creative output that I've always wanted to have forever, and just kind of lets me put something in the world that wasn't there before. And then I can also save money as well in some cases, not necessarily really, but like I'm not like supporting someone else's brand anymore. It's all about my brand now, which is one of the cool parts. And I would say the pros to both of them would be that on the other side of choosing a specific niche, the pro to that is that you can immediately fix or try and fix that one area that you're looking to fix. And this could be anything. It doesn't have to be anything specific, and that's why I don't have an example for you guys in this video. But it's really like one of those things where you can just jump into whatever you don't like or whatever's not there in the market yet, and fix it. And then if it works out, then you make sales off of it, and then you can expand off of it. That's what's super rad about that idea. And for me, I've never really had that much of an issue with anything to where I never saw a problem on my own with like things that were on the market to where I wanted to fix them that badly. It was always just like something I accepted, and I just kind of like let it go. So I'm not part of that group, but that's kind of like it's an easier place to start from, because if you can just like kind of market it appropriately, that kind of thing, then it's one of those things where it's much easier than the other one that I figured that I'm a part of, as far as like where it's just like I just want to create stuff and put it out there. That's a whole different thing. It's a lot more broader. And even if you have something that's very, very, that's very cool and creative, unless you're already very, very much on the market yourself, or you have that, that street credibility, which is hard to get in the first place, that's where it has to come from. If you don't have that, it takes a lot longer to get it going. And I'll go into that in another video as well. So those are kind of the two things. But those are the biggest reasons for why, generally speaking, most people from my research have done a clothing company, or why they want to, or why they started one. The other one, the third one I would say, which is also a big chunk of it too, is where people will want to design their own stuff from scratch, which is not me. And that's not what I mean by that one. Is it's like more of like I consider it personally like a cut and sew kind of thing, where they like want to literally take a fabric, another fabric, and sew them together and make their own special thing. And that's like one of those things. Like those are a lot more, even more trickier than the fixing something, like fixing the problem that you don't see fixed already, and then the creative, more of like a design oriented kind of thing. And those, in the design one, like the passion one, I do consider it to be different than the other one of where you literally have fabric you're doing like putting together, because that one is more of like it's a different style of design work. You know what I mean? And it's more money down, for sure, like upfront, more money down, that kind of thing too. So it's just there's different ideas for that kind of thing. So share with me in the comments below your ideas. What made you want to start a clothing company in the beginning? Like what area you think you're in, or if you like, think I missed some other areas, and obviously give comment on that too. Thank you always for watching, and if you appreciate this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like. And I'll see you guys on the next one.